As we've mentioned many times, today is Mother's Day, a day we have set aside to honor motherhood. Some of you may have had breakfast in bed, and others may have received handmade or store-bought cards, and others may be receiving flowers, or your family is planning a special meal. And that's great. But there is another side to this day. Before we continue, let us note again that Mother's Day is a mixed blessing. Good for some, but not for others. For some, our relationships with our own mothers was not loving. If those relationships were fraught with abuse or neglect, we feel abandoned, or that our mothers had failed us, then this day may feel like a painful charade. Some of us know little or even nothing about our birth mothers. Others may have lost their moms at an early age, and still others may be grieving a recent loss or are on the brink of experiencing that loss. Then there are those of us who might be forgotten today, who are just not being acknowledged for mothering someone. We may feel that Mother's Day neglects our own situations. But today at 2U, we want to celebrate all those, not only those who have given birth, but folks who have mothered us through our lives, who have nurtured us and taught us and led us and held us, inspired us, disciplined us, and cried with us. Sometimes it seems like Mother's Day is just another commercial holiday set up by the greeting cards and the floral industries. But just how did that all get started? And is that all that Mother's Day should be? Festivals honoring mothers in ancient times were often tied to gods and goddesses. The Phrygians held a festival for Cybele, the great mother of the gods. The Greeks also honored Rhea, the mother figure of their gods. Early Christians celebrated the fourth Sunday of Lent as a mother's festival to honor Mary, the mother of Jesus. In 16th century England, this celebration was known as Mothering Sunday. Children, mainly daughters who had gone to work as domestic servants, would be given the day off on the fourth Sunday of Lent to return home to their mothers and their mother church. Family reunions were the order of the day, with sons and daughters assuming all household duties and preparing special dinners in honor of their mothers. The Mother's Day that we now celebrate in the United States was originally conceived as an anti-war movement and a rallying cry by Unitarian Julia Ward Howe. Howe, a prominent American abolitionist, feminist, poet, and the author of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, worked to have a day celebrated as Mother's Peace Day. And she wrote a Mother's Day proclamation calling on mothers to work towards peace. And we heard part of that proclamation earlier today. Howe nursed and tended to the wounded during Civil War and worked with the widows and orphans of soldiers on both sides, realizing that the effects of war go far beyond the killing of the soldiers in battle. The devastation she witnessed during the Civil War inspired her to call out for women to rise up through the ashes and devastation, urging a Mother's Day dedicated to peace. Howe's 1870 proclamation called upon mothers of all nationalities to band together to promote the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. She envisioned a day of solemn council where women from all over the world would meet to discuss the means whereby to achieve peace. Following her proclamation, Howe began advocating for the creation of a Mother's Day for Peace to be held on June 2nd each year, and that initiative lasted about 25 years. Around the same time, Anne Reeves Jarvis, who also cared for wounded soldiers on both sides of the field during the Civil War, organized a Mother's Friendship Day, the goal of which was to foster reconciliation between former Union and Confederate soldiers by having them come together along with mothers from both sides. Anne Reeves Jarvis's original idea for a Mother's Day was a day for mothers, plural, not just a day for one's own mother. It was a day she envisioned on which mothers would get together for a day of service to help out other mothers who were less fortunate than they were. After Anne Reeves Jarvis died, her daughter Anna honored her memory by sending 500 white carnations, which was her mother's favorite flower, to her congregation at Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church in her hometown of Grafton, West Virginia. This was on May 10th, 1908, and is considered by many to be America's first Mother's Day. The carnation later became a symbol for Mother's Day, representing life, love, and endurance. As she spread the word about the holiday, she always traced it back to the moment when in 1876, she heard her mother recite the following prayer after teaching Sunday school. I hope and pray that someone, sometime, will found a memorial Mother's Day commemorating her for the matchless service she renders to humanity in every field of life. Anna vowed to fulfill her mother's dream. Anna Jarvis, who was never a mother herself, later campaigned to make Mother's Day a national holiday, and by 1912, she started the Mother's Day International Association. Partnerships with florists and successful letter writing campaigns to state governors helped the holiday get recognized at eventually the state and federal level. And in 1914, Congress declared the second Sunday in May to be Mother's Day. Over time, though, Jarvis came to lament the commercialization of the holiday. From 1920 till her death in 1948, she fought hard to prevent businesses from profiting by means of Mother's Day cards, candy, flowers, and gifts. But that's just where we find ourselves today. Nothing remains of either Howe's or the Jarvis's vision in the sanitized, money-driven consumer mania that is today's Mother's Day. But there's no reason it has to stay that way. As long dormant political traditions experience revivals in our age of lopsided plenty, it's a good time to remember the original aim of what is possibly America's most misunderstood holiday. Today, we can recognize that mamahood is not one size fits all. But most popular images of mothers exclude mamas based on their sexual orientation, race, income, immigration status, and more. And Mother's Day, which is one of the biggest commercial holidays in the United States, often just reinforces the ideas of family and motherhood that narrowly define family in one way. But what about the rest of us? Mama's Day is a program of Forward Together, an organization led by women of color to build a vibrant community of social change makers. Mama's Day is a celebration of our mamas everywhere. In its 10th year, Mama's Day celebrates trans mamas, immigrant mamas, single mamas, lesbian mamas, young mamas, poor mamas, and people of all gender who mother, especially those who bear the brunt, the hurt of hurtful policies and are weighed down by the stigma of our culture. It's an opportunity to take action to create conditions so that all families can thrive. Let's not forget that the social justice origins of the early day Mother's Day movements can still be with us. While Mother's Day has presently lost its early edge for justice, it's important to note that the underpinning intentions and recommit ourselves to its prescient calling. At a time when our country is again engaged in devastating and costly wars abroad, and many of our own communities are torn apart by violence, it's time for Mother's Day to return to its roots. So what can we do now? Well, we can commit ourselves to fighting violence within our own communities, learning more, joining peace movements, attending conferences. One place that we can start is to consider attending Chicago Area Peace Action's Peace Summit, which will be held on May 22nd and 23rd. It is a free virtual conference for peace entitled Organizing Toward Peace, Justice, and Conflict Resolution. Chicago Area Police Action, CAPA, is a grassroots Chicago-based nonprofit affiliate of the national organization Peace Action. Their vision is a world in which justice prevails for all, free of the devastation caused by war, racism, poverty, nuclear weapons, and environmental degradation. You can find more information about that organization in our chat. In the spirit of the original Mother's Day for Peace, we can learn more about the group Moms Demand Action, a grassroots movement of Americans fighting for public safety measures that protect people from gun violence. The group was founded by Shannon Watts, a mother of 5, the day after the Sandy Hook school shooting. Part of the Everytown for Gun Safety movement, each state has a local chapter. You may want to check out their Facebook page. 2U is a member of the Illinois Gun Violence Prevention Coalition, a group of 190 organizations from hospitals to churches to domestic violence policy organizations working together in the fight to reduce death and injury caused by gun violence in Illinois through education, research, organizing, and enforcement around public policy. Our social justice ministry is a good place to learn more about this coalition. In your chat should be more information about Moms Demand Action and the Illinois Gun Violence Prevention Coalition. Let us also remember our great Mother Earth, who has given life to us all. She is our home. We must find peace here. We can commit ourselves to environmental justice in our everyday lives. Caring for the interdependent web of life is a core spiritual value of Unitarian Universalism. We can explore the resources and activism of the UU Ministry for Earth, or we can learn more and engage with 2U Social Justice Ministry Program for creating climate justice. Yes, there is much we can do. And in the spirit of Ward Howe's original call, this occasion can be a time to dedicate ourselves on behalf of our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters everywhere, to rise up and protect our most vulnerable by calling for our leaders to make a directional shift in the course of our nation. There is no need more urgent than addressing the devastation brought on by violence in all of its forms, affecting the lives of untold millions in our nation and around the world. Then we may finally see the carnage and violence and devastation and war fade into its own history. Then and only then can we finally reclaim Howe's vision of a Mother's Day for peace. Blessed be.